Arel is a young boy who lives in a fantasy world where everyone receives a blessing in the form of a class given to them by their goddess. This class decides their path in life and is revealed when they turn 10 years old. Today is Arel's big day, as he just turned 10 and is about to discover his class. His parents and his sister are buzzing with excitement, fantasizing about what kind of legendary class Arel will get, while he himself looks rather uninterested in the entire system. After breakfast, they hurry to the church where a priest stands at the altar, ready to begin the ceremony. He places his hand on each child's forehead to reveal their class. Some kids become blacksmiths, others chefs, and one poor soul probably ends up as an unpaid intern. Arel's sister explains that classes are also influenced by the parents' classes, so since their mother is a sword saint and their father an archmage, Arel is expected to get something incredible. When Arel's turn comes, the entire room murmurs in excitement, whispering about the powerful class this boy must receive. Even the priest looks eager to make it official. But when he presses his hand on Arel's forehead, nothing happens. The priest frowns, growing confused, then finally looks down at Arel with pity, and declares that he was born without a class. The crowd gasps. A couple of days pass. Arel's parents try to comfort him, telling him he doesn't need to worry about a job, that he can always stay home forever. Basically, they're already preparing him for a professional basement dweller lifestyle. But Arel isn't discouraged. He tells his family he is not depressed, because he has been training in swordsmanship since childhood. Day in, day out, he honed his skills under his overpowered mother's strict guidance. Sure, a swordsman class would have made the path easier, but even without it, he believes sheer hard work can push him forward. His family is relieved by his determination. Later, while wandering alone, Arel hears commotion at the training grounds. Two boys are sparring with each other. Even though their technique looks clumsy, just being blessed with the swordsman class gives them an edge. They notice Arel watching and mock him, asking why he's there. Arel replies that he came to practice, which makes them laugh. A classless kid daring to train alongside swordsmen, it's like a cat showing up to a dog fight. To flaunt their strength, the boys swing their blades around with reckless confidence. Unimpressed, Arel asks if they want to spar. The boys think he must be joking, but agree anyway. Before they begin, one of them asks if Arel at least has divine protection. Unlike classes, everyone is born with divine protection, a shield-like blessing that protects them from harm, though it can be broken by someone much stronger. Arel nods, but then calmly adds that he doesn't need divine protection to handle brats like them. That arrogance enrages the boy, who charges forward and swings his sword hard. Effortlessly, Arel parries the strike. Shocked, the boy flails wildly, but every attack is blocked and deflected. Desperate, his friend tries to jump Arel from behind, but Arel is too fast and dodges. Compared to his mother, these kids are like toddlers waving sticks. Realizing a 2-on-1 might make it interesting, Arel dashes forward. He smacks one boy on the chin with the pommel of his sword, knocking him out, while the other trips over his fallen partner, and ends up sprawled on the ground. Both boys cry foul, whining about unfairness like spoiled children losing at a board game. Suddenly, a red-haired boy steps into the ring and scolds them, saying if this were a real battlefield, they would already be dead. Arel doesn't recognize him, but the boy clearly knows who Arel is. He walks straight up and challenges him to a duel. He claims that Arel only won against those weaklings because of some innate gift inherited from his mother, the sword saint. But since Arel is classless, he'll never match someone who has both a class and proper training. Finally, the boy introduces himself as the son of Captain Evans, the leader of the village guards. Arel suddenly recalls the captain visiting his mother for help, but the young boy before him looks nothing like the rugged man he had seen back then. The boy complains that Arel's mother is always considered the strongest, despite his father being a skilled swordsman as well. To prove which family is superior, he declares that he will defeat Arel in combat. Both take their positions, and the duel begins. The red-haired boy immediately launches into a fierce assault, aiming to land a decisive strike as quickly as possible. However, Arel, who has trained endlessly with his mother, stands firm with a solid defense. Their movements are swift and sharp, flashing across the training ground as they trade blows, leaving the two other children watching stunned and speechless on the ground. Arel notices that although the red-haired boy is far stronger than the other two troublemakers, his rage is clouding his technique, making him reckless. Waiting for the right moment, Arel attempts to counter, but the red-haired boy anticipates this and unleashes a set of aerial slashes. Arel blocks one, but the second blow strikes his chest, knocking him flat. Caught off guard, Aurel demands to know what kind of trick that was, but the boy arrogantly insists it is a special skill, something a classless weakling like Aurel could never master. Days pass since that loss, but instead of discouragement, a burning determination sparks within Aurel. He heads into the forest with his sword, practicing relentlessly on a wooden dummy. After countless attempts, he finally manages to replicate the twin-slash technique that had defeated him. Before he can celebrate, a goblin ambushes him, leaping out of the bushes. Aurel swiftly spins around, unleashing his twin-slash to cut the creature down instantly. Filled with excitement at his progress, his triumph is suddenly interrupted by a thunderous roar echoing from deeper within the forest, sending chills down his spine. Aurel decides to retreat and warn the guards, but then hears the desperate cry of a boy. Realizing someone may be in danger and that reinforcements would arrive too late, he steels himself and ventures deeper into the woods. Moving carefully, he eventually finds an injured boy. It is the same red-haired rival who had defeated him during training. The boy is gravely wounded, bloodied, yet still clutching his sword defiantly against a massive foe, a hobgoblin. Aurel has never seen one in person before, as they rarely approach the village. He hesitates, debating whether to run for help, uncertain if he is strong enough to face such a monster. But if he leaves, the boy will certainly die. Gathering his resolve, Aurel creeps behind the hobgoblin, and just before it can strike the finishing blow, he unleashes a powerful twin slash that cuts the beast down instantly. The rival is shocked not only by the hobgoblin's sudden death, but also by the fact that Aurel executed a move he himself only mastered after years of training and the aid of his class. Aurel hands the boy some holy water to help him recover. Once stable, the boy immediately questions how Aurel pulled off such a feat. Aurel explains calmly that the technique has nothing to do with possessing a class. Anyone with enough speed, strength, and discipline can learn it. After his defeat, Aurel had studied the move carefully, breaking it down to its fundamentals, and through tireless repetition, he mastered it to the point of being able to adjust it however he pleases. Unwilling to accept this, the captain's son challenges Aurel to another fight, which Aurel agrees to. They clash, both unleashing their signature attacks simultaneously. To the boy's astonishment, Aurel not only blocks his slash but adds a third strike, knocking him flat. Furious and humiliated, the boy glares, but Aurel calmly states that he is not bound by any rigid skill with set limits. His only restriction is his own strength and talent, meaning he can add as many strikes as his body allows. The boy rises again, pushing for another round, but once more is overwhelmed by Aurel's technique. This time, the third slash lands harder, dropping him to the ground. Claiming victory, Aurel walks away. 5 years later, Aurel has grown stronger and finally sets out on a journey to Brea, the kingdom famed for its unmatched swordsmanship. Both his mother and Captain Evans trained there, and Aurel now seeks to surpass even them, aiming to become the greatest swordsman of all. On his path, he is joined by a few fellow travelers, 2 of whom are swordsmen of remarkable skill and prestige. The man carries the barbarian class, while the woman is recognized for her dual-wielding style. Both of them have set their sights on Breccia to sharpen their abilities, yet they never see eye to eye and constantly bicker. The cart driver tries to calm them, reminding them that everyone is headed to the same destination. But the man, dripping with arrogance and misogyny, sneers that the woman belongs in the kitchen rather than on the battlefield. Before their quarrel escalates further, the driver suddenly yells for them to ready their weapons as trouble approaches. Aurel lifts his gaze and calmly observes a swarm of orcs, led by a massive commander, blocking the road with no intention of letting them pass alive. The children in the cart panic and beg the barbarian for help. But true to his cowardly nature, he flatly refuses to risk his life for others. Without hesitation, he leaps from the cart and bolts away. The woman follows suit, coldly declaring that in this world, everyone must fend for themselves. The driver, now anxious, wonders if he can outrun the orcs with his cart and passengers. Yet before he can decide, Aurel silently steps down from the cart and walks straight toward the enemy. Alarmed, the driver shouts at him to retreat while he still can, but Aurel pays him no mind. In a flash, he dashes at the first orc and drives his blade into its chest. The driver stares in disbelief at Aurel's speed and precision as the boy flickers in and out of sight, cutting down orcs one after another. However, before long, Aurel finds himself encircled on all sides, preventing him from relying on his dash technique. To the driver's astonishment, Aurel then executes the legendary maneuver known as the blade dance. Spinning with relentless speed, he cuts through every foe in his path, leaving orc corpses scattered across the field. The driver is dumbfounded, for blade dance is traditionally exclusive to swordswomen of the Sword Princess class. Yet here was Aurel, defying expectations and wielding it with ease. Aurel, unconcerned with such traditions, presses forward toward the towering orc leader. He dodges its massive swing, leaps onto its shoulders, and plunges his sword deep into its skull, ending the beast instantly. Returning to the stunned driver, he simply instructs him to continue their journey to Brea. One of the children timidly asks what class Arel belongs to. With calm honesty, he replies that he has no class at all, stunning everyone present. He recalls how, 5 years earlier, when he demonstrated his twin blade technique to his mother, she thought she was hallucinating. But when Arel explained that he was training to replicate any skill he observed, her heart overflowed with pride. She even vowed to teach him every technique used by the sword princesses. Back in the present, Arel drifts off in thought until the driver awakens him with the announcement that they have arrived at Bresta, the land of swords. Stepping down from the cart, Arel takes in the sight of the bustling city center, filled with warriors carrying swords at their sides. He turns to the driver and asks whether he is an advanced swordsman. The man chuckles at first, claiming he is nothing more than a cart driver. But Arel, sharp-eyed, points out that only a skilled swordsman could have recognized the techniques he had used in combat. Reluctantly, the driver admits he once belonged to the Holy Knights class, a highly respected rank. But years of endless battles left him weary, and so he chose a quieter life under the guise of a simple driver. Seeing Arel's eagerness, he warns the boy that without joining a guild, he will not be allowed to fight in tournaments, which are the main way swordsmen prove themselves and earn coin in the city. Arel responds that he has no interest in wealth, his only goal is to challenge the strongest swordsman Brea has to offer. The driver advises him to be cautious of the predatory corporate guilds, which drain the spirit of their members, before taking his leave. Alone now, Arel makes his way deeper into the lively streets. All around him, guild recruiters shout their names, entice potential recruits, and line up hopeful swordsmen eager for a chance at joining prestigious groups. In the crowd, he bumps into a blonde lily who immediately clings to him like a shadow. She introduces herself as a member of a well-known guild, and insists that he should join. Arel grows suspicious of her overeagerness and refuses. Undeterred, she continues pestering him, circling back again and again with desperate pleas. But Arel, unwilling to bend, keeps rejecting her advances. Finally, he asks which guild in the city is the strongest. With visible reluctance, she admits that Shadowblade currently reigns at the top, boasting 8 A-class swordsmen among its ranks. He asks the blonde girl for directions and immediately sets off toward the Shadowblade Guild. On the way, a guard halts him and directs him to the reception area for the entrance test. Inside, Arel is greeted by the sight of a massive line of hopeful swordsmen, all eager to try their luck at joining the renowned guild. The sight excites him as well, and he begins to imagine the kind of powerful warriors he might face in the trial. When his turn finally arrives, he steps forward to register. But instead of welcoming him, the receptionist bursts out laughing, mocking him for being a classless nobody. He coldly explains that only those who possess an advanced swordsman class are permitted to take part in the guild trials. Arel insists that he is confident he can pass the test regardless. Yet the receptionist refuses to register him. Disheartened, Arel turns to leave. Just then, 3 ranked swordsmen stride into the hall, immediately swarmed by admirers and treated like celebrities. Arel pays little attention to the spectacle and instead sets his sights on other guilds. One after another, though, each guild slams the door in his face, rejecting him solely because he has no class. Exhausted and frustrated, he wanders back into the city. There, he pulls out the letter his mother had entrusted to him, reminding him to seek out her old guild if he ever found himself in trouble. He wonders if she had foreseen this exact struggle, but he feels grateful nonetheless. Before he can even read the contents of the letter, the blonde girl reappears, latching onto him once again. She pleads with him to join her guild, insisting he should consider it an act of charity. She gestures toward a beautiful guild house and claims it belongs to her organization. Arel is taken aback for a moment, but she quickly clarifies. Her guild, Dragon Fang, was once the most prestigious in the entire country. However, in recent times, it has fallen into decline and is now regarded as one of the weakest. Determined, she explains that she wants to restore it to its former glory. The name Dragon Fang sparks a memory in Arel's mind. He recalls his mother once speaking about her guild leader, a dual-wielding swordsman who named the guild after his signature technique. Arel quickly checks the letter, and sure enough, Dragon Fang is the very guild his mother had mentioned. Excited by the coincidence, he agrees to follow the blonde girl inside, which makes her beam with happiness. Yet, as soon as they enter, Arel is met with a rather depressing sight. On the couch lies an old drunkard with only one arm, slurring his words as he tells Arel to leave, declaring that the guild is already doomed. The blonde explains that the man is her father, once hailed as the second strongest swordsman in the city, but ever since losing his arm, he has been broken and never returned to his former self. Surprising her, Orel calmly states that he still wants to join the guild. Overjoyed, she rushes to draft a contract, which Orel fills out and hands back. Upon reading it, however, she frowns and questions why he left the class column blank. Orel responds that it is because he does not possess a class at all. The blonde, Lilia, immediately snaps, pulling out her sword in anger. She accuses him of deceiving her, thinking all along that he was some advanced class swordsman playing hard to get. Before the confrontation escalates further, the guild door swings open. In walks a striking red-haired woman named Reiner. The blonde instantly runs to her, tears welling in her eyes, and complains that a classless fool tricked her into signing him up. Reiner's gaze sharpens as she looks at Orel. With a calm but serious tone, she remarks that she never imagined she would see him again. Confused, Orel asks how she knows him. To his surprise, Reiner explains that they grew up in the same village and even trained together. Orel still cannot place her at first, but then it hits him. The red-haired boy he had clashed with countless times in his youth had not been a boy at all, but this very girl standing before him. The blonde, already aware of the tale, asks Reiner if Orel is truly the legendary classless fighter who once defeated her, a story many dismissed as mere myth. Reiner, however, still burns from the sting of that old loss. Without hesitation, she challenges Orel to a duel on the spot. The fight begins and Reiner quickly launches her twin-slash technique, which Orel feels confident he can block. Yet to his shock, Reiner strikes tear straight through his defense and land a heavy blow on his chest. He feels confused for a moment, but Reiner explains that she holds the power swordsman class. Because of that, she can wield a sword 5 times heavier than a normal blade, giving her 5 times the strength in every strike she delivers. Orel is impressed by her ability to keep such speed despite handling such a heavy weapon. Still, he knows that her speed is nowhere near his own agility. When she charges at him again, Orel creates an afterimage that tricks Reiner completely, and he reappears behind her, striking her in the back. She is left stunned and tries to attack again, only for the same thing to happen. Reiner can't believe that Orel is using a skill usually reserved for the most advanced swordsmen. Orel, however, notices that her durability is far too high to defeat her with regular strikes. Reiner, aware of this too, attempts to end things with her crushing blows. But before she can, Orel executes his mother's signature counter, sending Reiner to her knees, and bringing the match to an abrupt end. With the duel over, Lilia's attitude shifts entirely. She warmly accepts Orel into the guild once again but informs him that their guild is drowning in debt. To recover, they must enter tournaments where they will fight as a 3-person squad against other guilds that will field full 5-member teams. Rather than being discouraged, Orel grows excited at the idea. Facing strong opponents will only sharpen his skills further, and he eagerly looks forward to the battles to come. The story will be continued in future videos. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.